4 a.m. First Fruits. This is a chapter by chapter Bible study series, and we are in Ezra chapter 7. Right now, we are on a high note in Ezra. Last chapter, it ended in joy. The Lord gave them joy. Their temple had been built again. They were able to celebrate the festival of unleavened bread, offer sin offerings. It is just sweetly going. It only makes sense to fast forward 60 years to the next chapter. I mean, it feels like I'm in a time machine. Chapter 7. After these events, during the reign of King Artaxerxes of Persia, Ezra came up from Babylon. Okay, I skipped all those names if you're reading with me, but they're very important and we're about to talk about them. He was a scribe skilled in the law of Moses, which the Lord, the God of Israel, had given him. The king had granted him everything he requested because the hand of the Lord his God was on him. Now we know when the Bible mentions names, especially lineage, there is a purpose, and this is a huge deal. This lineage here, if you look all the way down, it traces it to Aaron. This makes him a verified Levite from the tribe of Levi. And according to the law, only Levites could be priests. And the reason why this is such a big deal is because when they were exiled to Babylon, it shattered this whole priestly structure. And Ezra's lineage being listed here reassures this whole community that he is legit. Verse 8. Ezra came to Jerusalem in the 5th month during the 7th year of the king. He began to journey from Babylon on the 1st day of the 1st month and arrived in Jerusalem on the 1st day of the 5th month, since the gracious hand of God was on him. Now, Ezra had determined in his heart to study the law of the Lord, obey it, and teach its statutes and ordinances in Israel. These dates were no accident. It parallels with the Exodus. And then we get another letter from King Artaxerxes to Ezra the priest, an expert in the law of the God of the heavens. Here's a summary of this letter. It starts off with a royal approval and gives him permission to let anyone who wants to go with him. This letter also gave authority to Ezra from the king to conduct an inquiry. For all these resources and everything that he's done, he wants to make sure that they're doing everything that they're supposed to do correctly in Judah, in Jerusalem, according to God's law. And Ezra is an expert of God's law. This letter also includes a hefty free will offering for Ezra and for the house of God. Again, he even gives him permission to collect from the royal treasury if he needs more. And not only that, a tax exemption for everyone who works in the temple. And then finally, he gives him a legal authority to pick magistrates and judges, and tells Ezra if anyone is not obeying the laws from the king or the laws of God, they are going to be subject to punishment, from imprisonment all the way to death. It's very interesting that the king is doing this. The letter kind of tells us why. Take a look at this. In verse 23 of the letter, whatever is commanded by the God of heaven must be done diligently for the house of the God of the heavens, so that wrath will not fall on the realm of the king and his sons. They have not forgotten what God is capable of. The end of this chapter is so sweet because it is a praise from Ezra. Listen to this. Verse 27. Blessed be the Lord, the God of our fathers, who has put it into the king's mind to glorify the house of the Lord in Jerusalem, and who has shown favor to me before the king, his counselors, and all his powerful officers. So I took courage because I was strengthened by the hand of the Lord my God, and I gathered Israelite leaders to return with me. This second wave of Jews entering into Jerusalem happened 60 years after the temple was built. I'm seeing a lot of parallels here with Moses in that situation, just the date of him arriving, and then also if you think about Ezra is coming into Jerusalem with people, with God's people, carrying the law and going to enforce it. I love that this chapter ends in Ezra's praise because it reveals his true character, and he has a heart of a priest. He's just excited that the king wants to help build up the temple and to help God's people obey God's laws. Ezra coming back is such an important, significant moment in the life of the Jews. They're in the middle of restoration. temple has been built back up and they are offering sacrifices. They're eager to do the right thing, and Ezra is coming to assist them in that. God's hand is with Ezra. He has a purpose for Ezra to come and to help in the restoration of God's people. Ezra's life and ministry is simple. It is to study, it is to practice, and it is to teach. You can study the word all you want, but there better be a practical application in your life too. Practical one and a faithful one. Ezra was a leader prepared by God, and God's hand was on him. He had a purpose. God had a purpose. And Ezra knew it. The success, the favor, the provision, he gave glory to God, and he praised God because he knew where it came from. Ultimately, God is in control of all things, including the little details and dates and times. And then lineage. Wow. And we're gonna find out if these reforms stick. Thank you for watching this 4 a.m. and I'll see you in the next 4 a.m. when we cover chapter 8.